Hello everyone. We'll be starting the session within 5 minutes as we are facing some glitch with the live stream. Good evening everyone. A very warm welcome to today's senior junior interaction session at MATE. It's a pleasure to have you all here for an insightful experience. We are honored to welcome Mr. Munir Ahmed, who is currently working as an SDA intern at Zeta. His journey stands as a testament to hard work and the impact of learning beyond the classroom. Today's session is a chance for us to gain invaluable insights from his experiences, the challenges he navigated, the choices he made, and the strategies that led him to where he is now. Let's make this session interactive and enriching, and most importantly, let's make the most of this opportunity to learn from someone who was once in our shoes. With that, let's begin.
Hello, thanks, Priel, for the introduction. So, hello everyone. As mentioned, I am currently interning at Zeta. So, talking about my experience, the process was standard only. Like we started with a three-question OA around. It was not the OA was not very hard. Lead code medium kind of question was there. Uh, So we went through that way. Three questions were there with increasing difficulty, I would say. Like the first question was easier, the second a little more difficult, third one a little more. But uh, all in all, not very much difficulty was there. But one thing was there, like I think speed was a metric for them. So people कई लोग ऐसे थे जो उनके साथ में सबके तीन क्वेश्चंस हो गए but still people didn't went through. So while doing it, keep the speed time factor in mind, and also I think some proctoring are also there because people were getting rejected despite doing getting all three questions correct. So yeah, that went through after 1 week or so. Our interviews were scheduled in the campus. So the first round was um, simple DSA round. So it was pretty standard for everyone. Like most of the people, the second round was a DSA round. So luckily, what happened with me, like when I went through the interviewer asked me like, what is my understanding of DSA or how much confident I am with data structures. So I clearly mentioned him ki like DSA is not much what I spend my time with. Like I'm mostly gravitated towards development and thing. So I'm mostly inclined towards that. So he agreed upon it, and he said he will won't ask some hard problems. So he gave two medium kind of question only from lead code. One was on the topic of something. What was it? It was like it required a two-pointer approach, and her second one was about involved some bit manipulation and all. So about in that round, I got stuck in the first one a bit. Like I gave the brute force approach immediately. And after that, I asked him help how to approach it. Uh, Regarding DSA rounds, one thing that really worked out this time was like I was always like keep I kept letting the interview know what is my thought process. Like I never went mute. So that helps. Like तुम अपना thought process समझाते रहोगे, कुछ भी आ रहा है अगर दिमाग में, तो keep talking about it. Somewhere मतलब don't reject any thought कि ये पहले से ही बोलने से पहले जो भी तुम्हारे दिमाग में आ रहा है, keep saying it. Think of give the interviewer the impression कि you are going somewhere, like you're not completely blank about it. So that only happened. I keep saying what approach I am figuring out or thinking about it. So I went through it. One was on the lines of what the solution should be. So he asked me to elaborate on what I'm thinking along that approach. So I let him know. Then he mentioned, ki, like, let's try. So that only because the second round, this round was actually on campus, but I had to go through a Teams video call was happening. So therefore, he asked me to share a screen and open any online compiler. So I had to actually code it out, and he gave some test cases around it. I had to run through them. There was no language requirement. So first question I did in C++ only, and the second question was about net manipulation, and it's a bit easy the conversion and all in Python. The second question I did in Python only. So there was no requirement from his side. He was mostly focusing on logic and uh, if you are justifying your answer, key all the test cases can be passed through it. And like मुझसे फिर वो रन करवाया कंपाइलर में, बट सबका सेम नहीं था. कहीं से सिर्फ लिखवाया क्वेश्चन, सूडो कोड लिखवाया कुछ लोगों से, कुछ लोगों से कुछ लोगों से हार्ड क्वेश्चंस भी पूछे गए, कुछ लोग बिकॉज दूसरे लोगों से जो मेरे साथ के हैं जो उनका क्लियर हुआ हमसे, किसी से बाइनरी एंड ग्राफ्स को पूछे, एक क्वेश्चन उनसे पूछ लिया डीपी एंड ग्राफ से. एरेज ये था कि बाइनरी सर्च और लाइक ऑल द एरेज डिफरेंट एल्गोरिथम्स, वोटिंग एल्गोरिथम एंड डीएनएफ एंड ऑल. एक क्वेश्चन तो एरे से सबका मोस्टली था ही, बट या सो दूसरे लोग कुछ लोगों से जो वर कॉन्फिडेंट विद द डेटा स्ट्रक्चर, सो उनसे डीपीए भी पूछ लिया था, मतलब नॉट लीड कोड हार्ड पूछा था किसी किसी से भी. सो about that यही हुआ. फिर like this went for around 40 minutes, then 20 minutes, then after that I solved both the questions. So he asked me like if he had any questions. So if I had any questions for him, then we went on a discussion for around 20 minutes about what is the work he's been doing. So as like I was curious about what all like development work happens, like how does it happens at scale which the company operates and the domain they are working with. So it went around for 20 minutes. Like it was a really good discussion. He was also very adamant on like letting me know and interested in talking about it. So that went very well. I think that quite helped me because that's uh, projected like I had interest and I was curious about the work. So that really I would say that helped me because like as I mentioned, I've got stuck in one question, but eventually went through it. But this helped me like make a good impression what I was looking up for. So yeah, that the interview got cleared, and around 1 hour or so, I was called for the second interview. And second interview was purely like CS fundamentals and all, like completely. There was no DSA for second one for anyone like of the people with me, and it was pure CS fundamentals or system designs, and he would look into your resume. Interviewer would look into your resume, maybe ask question around that pure fundamentals thing. Like literally, he asked me to uh, let write what an HTTP protocol is, like literal what is the format of an HTTP request in plain text, and uh, how will you scale all the projects you have mentioned in your resume. Some picked up one API and went through the OSI model in network. how will this particular request in your project will go through the OS 7 layers of OSI model. Explain them like how databases and all OS are also like some people for some and also me they asked design system like one of my friend got asked about designing a chessboard, how will chessboard will be designed and how a snake and ladder game will be designed. For me, I had a similar project about executing code like a lead code sort of thing in my resume. So he asked me about that, like how will you design a lead code kind of system and how will that work, what will approach to that. So what they try to do is like they test the waters around it, like कि तुम किस उसमें फील्ड में interested हो. So when you talk about something, they give a generic statement like how will you optimize for a 10,000 rows database. So upon your answer, uh, yes, please. Can we get to the questions once we complete? That's okay.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, that only key they will ask a generic kind of question which can have a multiple answers. Like as I mentioned, how will you optimize reads for a 10,000 hours? So based on your answer, like did you focus more on the network layer or on the database layer or on the application layer? They will deep dive into that direction. So for me, like I was strong with the fundamentals, but the OS part was something that I missed upon. Was not very confident, so I clearly mentioned. But basically, or also I won't say that I got every answer right in that scenario, but mostly it was like I uh, let him know my thought process, what I was thinking in it, and what all my existing knowledge is. Sometimes what happens is uh, there will be a term for something, uh, and you don't know by the term, but you know of it by first principles, like something like a solid principle. You might not remember the exact definition for it, but in your while you are presenting yourself or your thought process, then you can go through this by first principle. So that works with them. And after that, like it was pretty much deep, very deep dive. Like it went about 1 hour just going deep into things and oops or database or computer networks. OS, as I mentioned, I was not familiar with most of it. He also didn't ask much about OS. After that 1 hour whatever, again he asked me if I had any questions for them. Then again we went for like half an hour talking about systems and how do they work with scale and how DevOps. Also that like if you say things about DevOps and then they will deep dive through it. What do you guys are not. So yeah, second was pretty intense and pretty deep diving with it, and it was really interesting. Like going through and learning also, like you get to learn through that interview also. Like you had a thought process, but for where to take it with, so they usually guide you. And I think mostly they are what they are looking for it is key if you can apply your existing knowledge to arrive at a particular solution, and what depth of existing knowledge do you have actually. Like if you are mentioning something in your resume, then you should be confident about it, at least for the interview. Like for resume screening, you sometimes do want to put words and on that helps also. But in the interview, if you are taking your resume with you, so be sure like whatever you are mentioning, you are solid about it. So I think yeah, that went well. After 1 hour, we went through a half an hour discussion about their work and all. Then I think it was done, and yeah, that's all. So yeah, now if you want to have any questions, any questions?
Yes, actually, I've dropped the questions in the comment section.
Okay.
If you can
Uh,
see them, fine, or else I can.
yeah, if you can read it out, it will be.
Yeah, I will try. So my first question was like, did they make you write the coding questions during the interview, or it was just a normal discussion on the approach?
No, it was they made me write in an online compiler and made me run also it. He gave the test cases himself, and I had to run through them also. So for me, it was there, but so for some other people, pseudocode was at least pseudocode was written for everyone, if not the code. So बिल्कुल वर्बल तो नहीं रहा, लेकिन थोड़ा बहुत तो लिखना पड़ता है, पड़ा था सबको. Yes.
My other question is like if someone has a weak profile in DSA and is on more on like data analysis and machine learning side, then how should he go forward for cracking this company?
I mean, for clearing the DS around you should have like a some understanding to at least like let him know ki you are not very much into like hard stuff and that, but at least have a thought process and make let him know ki you can do some problem solving. Maybe you're not know the exact algorithm for this, but you have a knack for approaching towards it. For that, if you are purely on machine learning and data science, but so I mean, the role is not really for that because it's purely back-end role in the whatever you've been doing in the organization. It's mostly a Java back-end only. So, if you still want to crack, like just focus on fundamentals or those CS के subjects, cram it up or whatever, have develop an understanding with it, or pick one of the vertical and you can steer the interview to conversation towards that. Uh, Feel like if you are strong about databases, go on about it. uh, जो भी क्वेश्चन पूछे you can steer it towards the database. How will you optimize it on the database front? So all that thing, like focus on a core subjects, because like the syllabus is there only, like not nothing extravagant happened. Just the fundamentals should be there and you can prepare for it like pretty subjectively and object. So that will be the answer.
They in the core subjects like there is CN, there is OS, there is DBMS, anything except these three that was asked during the interview?
Yeah, like oops was asked in pretty much a lot of detail. Like as we spend a good amount of time discussing oops concept only, so that is one subject we should focus on.
Was system design also asked?
Yes, for me it was asked. For some it wasn't. Well, mostly it wasn't. For me it was. So if you can go through it, so it will be helpful. Yes, Himanshu.
Was there any specific pattern for system design, like singleton patterns or anything of that sort we need to prepare?
I mean, if you mention in your design like what is a pattern, but yeah, for me, they did specifically ask what all patterns do you know about. So I went through it. But if while designing the system, you mention some pattern, so you should know about it. They can go through and deep dive within it. Like for me, they specifically ask अलग से ही कि क्या क्या patterns हम follow करते हैं. So what all I mentioned, they went through it. So not specifically based on the system, you will have to design and mention all the patterns if you do. And if you mention a pattern, then be confident about it.
Okay, okay. So basically, they are testing thinking from first principles.
Yeah, mostly that only. Like maybe you don't know what a pattern called, but you have a sense of why it is there and what problem it solves, and you arrive at it. So that also works. Like really not much into like jargons and all. If you can arrive at the pattern by just first principle, like why should a single pattern exist? What uh, all benefit does it provide? So if you just go through it without naming it, that also works.
Okay, okay.
Yes, anyone? I mean, core subjects you can anywhere you can prepare. Like there's no particular source that will help you prepare whatever topic. मतलब now तो you can go through a deep dive on any topic through an AI. So resources are not very pretty much pointless at this point. Like just whatever topic you want to learn, just prompt it in the AI or go through a, just Google it or YouTube, pick up wherever you find the resource. Like there's pretty, मतलब ऐसा तो नहीं है कि कोई गलत ही पढ़ा रहा है, unless like some कोई ऐसे किसी unreliable हो, जैसे GFG पे sometime कोई भी आर्टिकल लिख सकता है, तो sometime वहाँ पे थोड़ी सी unreliable information रहती है. तो बाकी मोस्टली तो people are teaching it right only, so pick up wherever you find it engaging or understanding you are developing. So not a particular resource I would recommend. Anyone? Yes, yes, sir. Like anyone of you can.
Sir, actually, I wanted to ask that out of the all the rounds, the OA, the DSA round, the computer fundamentals plus fitment round, which was the major eliminating one, which eliminated most of the students, like the OA or the DSA round?
I mean, I don't think they had a quota to like how much they want to get through. I think OA did. OA eliminated a bunch of people because like logistically it's not very possible to conduct so many interviews. So OA did eliminated a lot, but after that it was just who clears. Not there's not much around the quota that you have to pass this much only to the third round and all.
And sir, the other question that I wanted to ask was the that what we as newcomers face, that when we solve questions on lead code, it's very clearly stated what we have to do, and there's no story and there's no long term long format of questions, so we don't have to much don't have to skim through the question, design what we have to do, and then solve it. But in the OS, what I've seen is there are very long story based questions or very long problem statements, so it takes a lot of time to understand what we have to do, and then try to solve it and then optimize it. So does Zeta also ask these kind of questions in OA and interviews as well, or there's some difference, and if so, how can we prepare for it?
I mean, OA, though mostly companies do ask these kind of question only, but this the only thing you can prepare is you by lead code you do your fundamental strong like topic, like how to solve this kind of problem, and that otherwise like story part you just have to practice around it, like go through the past questions of different companies, and I think that only can help you. Otherwise, like just go through and drive an intuition out of it. Ki, uh, what can be the actual problem that we are facing here? Maybe not just look up to the past problems of different companies. They will let. But I think I don't think that much like a 20% of a difference does it make. I think eventually you can if you like अंडरस्टैंडिंग थोड़ा इंग्लिश समझने की बात है कि अगर इफ यू आर एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड दोस maybe you take a 20-30% extra time about it to derive at what is actually being asked. I think that is only there, but only practice or seeing a lot of questions around it can help. Or actually, like if you are into building and building stuff and all, so you kind of develop what is being asked here and how to solve. Like just the only solution is to engage with it a bit more, and just go through it. And in the interview, not much of a story kind of question is asked. It was either direct question statement of what needs to be solved, or otherwise, like if they went through a story, like if someone was asked, like if you are standing at a like तुम चौराहे पे खड़े हो और तुम्हें उस पॉइंट पे जाना है and these are the paths. So in that case, they don't expect a proper coding part. You just have to explain your approach towards it and you, most write a pseudocode about it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. One last question, if I may.
Yes, sure.
Sir, I took the liberty of going through your LinkedIn today,
Right.
and I found your resume that you uploaded, and I saw that they were pretty good projects, and your stack is Node.js and predominantly not Java. So, does it make any difference, like having Node.js as the primary backend language and not Java? Because the tech stack that we'll be working in the company is Java, right?
I mean, if you're asking about the recruitment process, that doesn't make much of a difference. You just have to be clear about like the features Java provides is basically object-oriented programming, and if you are skimming through it, that can be applied to any of the nodes, any of the stack, unless it's a purely functional programming. So just have a strong fundamental of what OOPS is. Then in the recruitment process also you won't face any difficulty about it, and otherwise also like in when you start working with it, if you are clear with what does object oriented programming provide, so then it doesn't make much of a difference. I think in college we do some sort of Java at even it's in its limited scope that does translates to any of the stack you are working with. Yeah,
Thank you very much, sir.
sure. If anyone, if anyone can please read out the questions from the chat box, it will be helpful.
Yes. One question is on which level the DSA is needed to clear tech round.
I mean, it's just purely can be on luck, to be honest. Like depends on what interview is planning to come up with, but yeah, like mostly they do test some waters with you, like where the first question will probably be around some medium difficulty and some generic topic. So yeah, I think you can let the interviewer know like what are you preparing for. Like I think the you can't aim at a level ki is level पे पहुंचूंगा and then will be clear around. You just have to be good at it or good at something. तो जो भी level आया वो तो फिर उस time उस दिन और luck की बात है, to be honest. As such कोई you can't prepare for much of a level. But yeah, not very hard stuff नहीं पूछा कि purely DP कोई पूछ लिया या फिर 3D DB पूछ लिया एंड ऑल, इस सेंस में तो नहीं पहुंचा. बट आई थिंक एज सच कोई टॉपिक था नहीं कि जो उसको बिल्कुल ही छोड़ दिया. लाइक C algorithm was also asked. Some people were asked 2DP question, but uh, 2 2DDP only. So I think not very high level, but it's you can depends on your profile. I think they also go through your profile and see what you are up to. Yes, I think that's all.
Is it necessary to have a strong competitive profile?
I don't think so. Since I didn't had any, and to be honest, I probably would have yet solved much less question than most of you here. So I think not much of a needed. But if you have a competitive profile, I think here you are saying about competitive programming. If I am correct, so I think if you are if you do have a competitive programming profile, then expect questions towards it and just make sure you flaunt it off pretty uh, prominently. You don't miss out on it. Like you let them know you have a good, strong competitive programming profile. Yes.
One doubt is that from where can we prepare for OA?
I think lead code only. I think as such कोई different process नहीं है. Just search up if you can find past questions from any company. Just go towards it, and I think that should be done. As such OA के लिए preferably you can't prepare for that. Plus you have to be have good understanding of DSA in general. Like in general DSA only it will be there. Not much of specific preparation you can do for this company. Yes.
And in design problems, is there a fixed answer?
Yes. Mostly it's not a fixed answer. It's just to test your approach to solving systems and designing systems, and just if you are mentioning a concept, then you should have a right answer for it, or at least a right justification for it.
Do they ask puzzles and how much knowledge of OOPS they expect from candidate?
No, they don't ask puzzles and all, and I think they do expect a decent understanding for OOPS at least because the whole stack is on Java only. So at least just don't say anything wrong that you are not confident about. Be confident about the four concepts. Don't confuse them because it's sometimes easy to confuse through them. So yeah, I think a decent understanding is needed for OOPS. Yes, Samanshu.
How do we develop intuition for design problems, as you mentioned?
Just solve the design problems. I think just pick up a design, like go through what all companies are asking about it. Go through ChatGPT, ask how to design this. Do tens of times, you will develop an intuition and like, just understand it deeply. Ask it, deep dive every part, like why did do this way and why can't this way? Should we do this way? Any just keep digging into it. I think just go through it, you will develop. And otherwise, if you are into development and all, then will it will be a byproduct of just going through it and building stuff. I think otherwise, like if you are just doing purely for this recruitment purpose, then I think this asking ChatGPT to solve build systems and debating it with it, like why this happens, why this happens, then I think that should help do it a lot of times, and I think you will develop some intuition at least. I think there are good resources on YouTube also, like some Neat Code also do is been doing system design videos. I think that helps. That does helps. I think there's a channel called Piyush Garg, if you know. He also do system design and all. I think you can go through like how does a professional go about designing something. That also will help. Just like you do a lot more. I think someone else, someone asked like Nishant as asked, I think does backend does support only. I think as such कुछ ऐसा है नहीं कि जो backend development है और CS fundamental नहीं है. I think some network parts network में आ जाते हैं, कभी network में आ जाते हैं, application logic वाला part hoops and all में आ ही जाता है. And database आ जाता है. I think as such कुछ miss नहीं हो रहा है कि if they are asking CS fundamentals तो backend वाले नहीं. If you are asking particularly for a particular stack, I think they don't focus much on stack as such. But yeah, if someone comes up and then if you are most probably working Node.js, then you are expected, you know how does event loop works and all. So at least जो तुम्हें आता है वो तुम्हें अच्छे से आना चाहिए. बस ये है, सच कोई पर्टिकुलर ऐसा फ्रंट एंड रिएक्ट एंड ऑल ये तो नहीं पूछ रहा कोई.
One question is, what's the full-time package?
I think that will your CDC will let you know. I mean, maybe it's different for you and different for me. So let's because currently it's for intern only. So our intern is, if you are interested, that's not a, you won't be working on, matlab, I hope it's, I think it will be for the same role that I got into. It isn't like you won't be working on actual systems, and it's sort of a graduate engineer training. So you'll go through a 3 month training period only and go through their stack, their product, and there will be assessment based on it, and based on assessment, you will be deployed as a full-time engineer if it's the same role that I am working. I got into. I think any more questions? Yes, Ayush.
Sir, as you mentioned about backend, sir, I wanted to ask that do they go into the depth of Node.js, Express.js, or React? As you said that they don't, but do they look for that you know the flow of the backend or the integration with front end? Do they look for the knowledge of the flow of the development, or they typically look for how deep you are in your tech stack?
No, I didn't get your question. Like, can you what you are
Basically,
asking?
sir, basically, sir, what I'm asking is, ki, are they asking specific Node.js question, or are they trying to just see ki they have the basic flow of development? Do they know how front end is connected to back end, how to write routes, how to write middlewares, or are they going into Node.js specifics, like how do we do this in Node.js and all?
I don't think. Well, I won't say they will go much into a tech stack. How does particular thing gets implemented in a particular tech stack? Like those are pretty much, those people are pretty much working on Java for years, and they don't even know about Python and all as such. So they won't go deep. No, they won't go into specifics of how particular thing is implemented in a particular stack. They will. It will be more towards generic sort of thing that can be translated to any stack you are working
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you.
with. Any more questions?
If there are any other questions, you can ask, or else we'll wrap up then.
When is the recruitment process scheduled for you guys?
I guess it's around end of August.
18 August specific.
Nice. I mean, I will let you know after 20 or some days that what happens. As of now, we don't have a clear answer for this. I was answering to Nishant.
Sir, how much the projects mattered in the interview process? Like, was it more a DSA centric, or it was a mix of like asking questions from the project and asking DSA and all the stuff?
I mean, there is a dedicated DSA round, so DSA वहाँ पे हो जाएगा, and otherwise, not very much of a project does matter कि तुम कितना innovative या वो such as such वो matter नहीं करता. I think it might get a good impression, but if you are able to answer like, I think you missed the part, but one round is purely for DSA and one round is purely for computer fundamentals. So they will ask the computer fundamentals regardless of the projects you have made. If you have made projects and mentioned them, then they might want to see how well you are able to connect the CS fundamentals here. So yeah, I think not much of a as such key what some crazy projects you have built. Just be good with your fundamentals. I think that's pretty doable. Like it's mostly theory part only. Like if you are able to grasp theory and uh, contain it with yourself, I think that will also not much of as such नहीं intuition बहुत ज़्यादा develop करनी है, but I think it is doable.
Do they ask aptitude and puzzles in the interview also, as many students were asked the same in the IN interviews?
No, they won't. They aren't asked here. Only like pure technical. मतलब it didn't with me and my batch. मतलब, it definitely can happen with you. This don't be surprised. I think मतलब in the past I haven't heard कि Zeta कभी पूछा है puzzles and all aptitude in interview. So नहीं होना तो नहीं चाहिए. No case study round. हाँ भाई, no case study round. It's technical one. I think yes.
What was the full time package for your batch?
अभी जब मिलेगा तब बता दूंगा. अभी मिला नहीं है. आई थिंक एक चीज जो मैं जरूर याद रखो कि अपना थॉट प्रोसेस बोलते रहना. मतलब कोई भी थॉट प्रोसेस रिजेक्ट मत करना और कि बोलने से पहले रिजेक्ट कर दिया कि शायद ऐसे नहीं हो. क्योंकि मेरे साथ ऐसा हुआ था, क्या है, मैंने खुद कुछ बोला और खुद नहीं बोल दिया और आंसर वही था. तो डोंट रिजेक्ट योरसेल्फ, लेट देम नो. आई थिंक you are doing for a fresher role only, and they expect only they don't expect you will know everything. You just they want to know कि you can make a fight and all with this. And after that, like, don't forget to like at least talk with the interviewer after the interview. Be curious about it, like project your curiosity towards them कि you are interested in this stuff and all. So that does leave a good impression. Please don't ask कि रिव्यू दे दो कैसा गया इंटरव्यू, दैट इज वेरी बैड, बिकॉज उन्हें फिर सब याद आ जाता है जो भी तुमने गलतियां करी है एंड में, एंड यू वोंट वांट कि वो एंड नोट में उन्हें सब याद रहे। तो या स्टीयर मतलब जिस भी टॉपिक पे तुम कॉन्फिडेंट हो, जस्ट कीप ट्राइंग, यू स्टीयर द कन्वर्सेशन टुवर्ड्स इट एंड इट विल बी अ गुड थिंग टू डू। Is there any language? I think as such कोई रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है, बट अगर सामने वाले बंदे को हिंदी आती नहीं तो फिर दैट कैन बी एन इशू। सो थोड़े बहुत तो इंग्लिश यू शुड डू, बट इफ दे आर कंफर्टेबल, देयर इज नॉट मच ऑफ अ नीड। Don't be like, don't get nervous about it if you are not very good with English, because that won't be much of a deciding factor for them. Just be confident in whatever language you are speaking, and just make sure you are able, the interviewer is able to understand. If he doesn't know Hindi, though, he won't be understanding what you are saying if you are being purely in Hindi. So yeah, just make sure the interviewer gets what you are saying, nothing else.
Sir, in many companies, SQL is asked very much, like in ZS and all. Is SQL also much required in this company, or it's a basic to medium one?
And well, it's not much. ZS is pure not for a software developer, it's mostly for data administration and all. So I think there the requirement is prominent for them. But here also, like, not very deep into, they might ask, but they probably can ask to write a SQL query about some use case. So it's a good skill to have in the end, like if you can prepare for it. So many people were asked the SQL queries to be written, and that actually decided the fate of their interview, and they were able to do it pretty much nicely. So the interview did went well for them, and mostly centered around that. So yeah, again, that only if you are confident with something, just make sure you let them know. So SQL, for me, luckily it wasn't asked, but with few people it was asked.
Sir, one question more. How did you deal with the rejections that occur during the placement season?
I mean, good. I'm a good person to ask this because मेरी सबसे mostly end में लगी थी. So I think in the end point ये है कि mostly चीजें 60% it's only luck, which I have realized after इतने सारे rejection, because मैंने लोग ऐसे देखे जिनके सारे सारे क्वेश्चन ठीक हो गए हुए में फिर भी वो आगे नहीं गए, कुछ लोग के दो हो गए। वो मेरे साथ भी ऐसा हुआ है कि मेरे ठीक होने के बावजूद मैं आगे नहीं बढ़ा। तो मोस्टली इट्स वेरी अनप्रिडिक्टेबल, यू डोंट नो कि तुम्हें कौन सा इंटरव्यूअर मिल जाए उस दिन, व्हाट ही इज अप टू, व्हाट ही केम अप विद अ माइंडसेट विद। तो 60 only you have only efforts, and the only thing in your hands is to be good at something, and I think if luck favors you, you are able to uh, work with it। ये दिक्कत मतलब मोस्टली चीज़ें तुम्हारे कंट्रोल में नहीं है, एंड आई थिंक उस पर फोकस ना ही करो तो फिर better। Yeah, and I think one thing that did help me in the end, like after getting so much rejection, and जब Zeta का इंटरव्यू आया था, तो I went with the attitude कि you can't lose a job that you already don't have। तो just go with, be confident कि खोने को तो कुछ है ही नहीं, अगर नहीं मिली भी जॉब तो you will still be there जहाँ तुम इंटरव्यू से पहले थे। अगर मिल गई तो अच्छा ही। तो just क्योंकि फिर ये वो चीज़ इफ यू गेट टू मच इनटू इट कि ये छूट गया तो इट विल बी डेवास्टेटिंग एंड ऑल, दैट जस्ट एड्स टू द नर्वसनेस एंड स्क्रू अप योर इंटरव्यू। आई थिंक जस्ट बी चिल अबाउट इट, treat it as another day, another conversation। I think just focus on being good at something। I think that will help eventually, if not immediately। So I think यही है कि it's mostly luck। So कर्म कर्म ही करते हो, फल की चिंता नहीं नहीं है तुम्हारे हाथ में। That only। प्रेफर तो नहीं करते, मतलब ऐसा कोई प्रेफरेंस नहीं है, बट as if you are good with the even in EC or triple E, so there's no, they don't as prevent you from coming because in our batch also someone from EC did get selected. So there's not much of a branch issue here. Just be prepare for the interview. Like the only difference is they will be asked, you will be asked CS fundamental questions. So it's good. You should be good with it regardless of your branch. Yeah, to be honest, TSA though I never did seriously. Like I have less than 150 questions on DSA, but I was mostly towards development only. So yeah, I think the 1 month of before the later interview, I was doing it daily, and at least I had some kind of muscle memory developed by that point. At least I was able to think. And I think don't ask someone ki, when did you start, and then only I'll start, because हमेशा मतलब कभी भी स्टार्ट कर दो वो कल से तो जल्दी ही होगा. कल स्टार्ट करने के मजा आप आज कर दो तो फिर जब भी ये इट हिट्स यू कि हाँ कर लेना चाहिए देन स्टार्ट सीरियसली बिकॉज campus interviews so DSA will help. Like if you are just good at DSA, sometimes that only done does the deed for you, and you'll get through with DSA only. I think DSA is definitely a good tool to have in an arsenal, and it does help in interviews.
सर आपने जैसे बहुत सारे इंटरव्यूज दिए थे, तो किस कंपनी के लिए मतलब कितना डीएसए रिक्वायर्ड होता है, लाइक सीटीसी के अकॉर्डिंग थोड़ा सा मतलब एक
So,
कैटेगरी बना।
ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता कि सीटीसी के अकॉर्डिंग. आई हैव सीन द सबसे रद्दड़ रद्दड़ कंपनी भी आस्किंग ऐसा टॉप लेवल ऐसे क्वेश्चन जो किसी से सॉल्व नहीं हो रहे हैं. सम pretty nice awesome companies asking pretty decent normal life question. तो as such you can't as such नहीं कर सकते कि इतना सीटीसी चाहिए तो इतना प्रिपेयर करो. just focus on अच्छा डीएसए में अच्छा होना है बस. just focus on and the CTC will be the result of it, not the requirement for it. नहीं ऐसा फैनविक ट्रीज एंड इस पे तो नहीं आएगा. DSU did ask DSU and I think ग्राफ से भी क्वेश्चन पूछ लिए थे. एडवांस डीपी ग्राफ तो आई थिंक नहीं पूछा था. DSU did ask. DSU is a pretty nice topic I think. As such कोई pattern नहीं था to be honest. And one of my friend who actually got selected wasn't even asked DSA in any of the round. In both of the rounds he was asked either system design or CS fundamentals. So as I said, it does depends on our luck. How does it roll out for you?
So you were in development most of the time, so how much time it is required to create a project which is enough for the resume?
Yeah. Any project can be enough for your resume, to be honest. If in these kind of interviews where DSA is a deciding or eliminating factor, so you can even clone a project from a GitHub and put it on your resume and just have a really good understanding of it. That will also help. That as such they don't you don't have to make project for resume की इतना time लगा के वो करो. मतलब build it for sake of building it, and eventually it will get to your resume. It should be working at least, or uh, you should know what it is doing. Yes, that answers my question.
सर एक्चुअली आई वाज आस्किंग फॉर दैट ओनली कि गिटहब से जैसे क्लोन कर लिया तो कितना टाइम लग जाता है समझने में और सारी चीज़ें पता लगने में कि ये है कितना?
Purely depends on where are you at. Like तुम्हें existing knowledge क्या है, how in what way do you understand something. It's purely personal. कोई ऐसा सच तुम वो नहीं कर सकते कि you can't put a timeline on it. At least I can, because everyone do have a different way of understanding things, and depends on that it will take time and what all do you already understand.
सर सिस्टम डिज़ाइन इस कंपनी के अलावा और भी मतलब बाकी जगहों पे पूछा गया था, जैसे और भी इतनी कंपनीज आई ऑन कैंपस?
नहीं, ऑन कैंपस आज सच किसी में नहीं पूछा गया था। मतलब जितना मुझे याद है सच नहीं पूछा गया था किसी से। मोस्टली इट वाज डीएसए एंड द सीएस फंडामेंटल्स, दैट टू जस्ट थियोरेटिकल लेवल ओनली। सो या, as such किसी में नहीं पूछा गया ऑन कैंपस तो। But it's a nice skill to have. It helps you develop intuition about the CS fundamentals and how actually do they matter and all. So if you, it's a good skill to have, and it will help in, not if not in on campus, it can help in on campus actually. How to be lucky in general, I think just, I mean, you can increase the odds of getting lucky if you expand your, like if you have a breadth of knowledge and depth plus breadth of knowledge, that can increase your chance of getting lucky. I think if you're this, let's say if you are good at both DS and development, the chance of you getting lucky is pretty much high, because if the interviewer comes up with the mindset of asking DSA, then you are good. If it comes for asking DL, so just being good at a lot of things increase your chance of getting lucky. OA test from was from house only.
सर आपने ऑफ कैंपस ट्राई किया था लाइक, और मतलब ऑफ कैंपस के लिए एटीएस स्कोर वगैरह कैसे बढ़ाया, मतलब क्या किया है?
पता नहीं यार, मुझे ATS आई रियली थिंक्स, मुझे बड़ा होप्स लगता है टू बी ऑनेस्ट ATS। लाइक होता है तो हो जाता है सिलेक्ट हुआ कुछ, यू कांट प्रिडिक्ट। मतलब वही है जो बेसिक टिप्स है, पॉइंटर्स में लिखो, सिमिलर पॉइंटर्स हो, पहले एक्सपीरियंस हो, फिर प्रोजेक्ट्स हो, राइट स्किल्स, जो बज़वर्ड्स है वो लिखो। आई थिंक दैट डज हेल्प्स द ATS, बट या not much with the interview to be honest. If they do help with the ATS and get your resume screened at least, but after that you do have to own up to what all you have written in your DSA. So I think what I did was, like, I had a different resume for putting it on the application site, and different when I go to the interview and hand over the resume, because the difference is you do have to put buzzwords, like write AWS and all. Like, what's the point of writing it? Do you know all the AWS if you write AWS? But if you write it on for ATS, it does help. So yeah, you have to play by the rules of the game. Nothing else.
सर एनी रिसोर्सेज फॉर लर्निंग डेवलपमेंट?
YouTube. Everything is on YouTube, GitHub. Not such good. Pick up any course. Like, if anyone is making a development course, this highly likely they are good at it. Just follow up, so develop an intuition. Develop like few projects. If you are doing just for the sake of uh, getting shortlisted in resume, then I think pretty much works. Any course will work for you. And then after that, you will decide. You will get to know stuff, and then wherever you get stuck, you will do Google or GPT, and so just for a base, you can pick up any course and or something, or YouTube only. They can't make you write whole project in the interview. They, well, if you do understand how to call an API and how to design a database schema, how to do this, and how to write a WebSocket, if you have mentioned, well, they can ask. This someone did have this. I had something around lead code sort of project in my resume, so they did ask me how did you write this API and this implemented. So I think as such, तो coding थोड़ा बहुत understanding होनी चाहिए. ऐसे नहीं, if you can't code at all without AI, if you can't debug, so that is the, you should work on it. Regardless.
So internships do matter, or it's all about the interview we give?
I mean, on campus it doesn't matter much. On campus, it just get through each level and it doesn't matter much. But of course, like if you have done a internship at a good company or have done with a work with a good set, it will give a good impression and it will give them to ask things to, about, and, but not a criteria in on campus at least. But in off campus, it's a different game. There you do need some stuff. That's-
So can you tell a bit about a ratio like कितने बच्चे OA में बैठे थे और कितने इंटरव्यू तक पहुंचे?
नहीं, I can't tell you about it. मुझे नहीं पता कि कितने लोग बैठे थे. I didn't care much about it and nothing. CDC वालों से पूछना कि कितने लोग हैं, कितने कब आए थे, क्योंकि मतलब मैंने ध्यान नहीं दिया था कभी इस पर. Anything else?
So all the doubts have been cleared. And before we close today's session, I would like to take a moment to thank our senior, Mr. Munir Ahmed, for taking the time to be with us and sharing his journey so openly and honestly. Your insights, stories, and guidance have truly left us inspired. To all the juniors here, I hope today's session helped you feel a little more confident and a lot more motivated. And thank you all for being such a wonderful audience. With that, we are officially ending this session. Thank you, everyone.
So, thank you.